They're off in the Louisiana Derby. Mr. Z, Stanford broke well toward the rail. Busaichi Flame, A Day in Paradise. Here's St. Joe Bay coming up on the outside. As they make their way toward the first turn, they're being led by Stanford. Stanford in front of Mr. Z. On the outside, St. Joe Bay in the black cap. Busaichi Flame holds the rail as they round the first turn. A Day in Paradise is fifth. War Story, sixth, and worked over toward the rail as these leaders go to the back of the track. Also down inside is International Star. Then comes Keen Ice, and Defundo has dropped back to last. The first quarter for Stanford, 24 seconds flat. Florent Giroux has the pace in his hands with Stanford in front of the 5.5. Mr. Z now has gained second from Busaichi Flame third and closer toward the rail, St. Joe Bay in fourth. A Day in Paradise is fifth. War Story in sixth, and seven from Stanford, who's made a very easy lead in the shadow of the half-mile pole. Miguel Mena sends International Star in that Ramsey red cap toward the rail. Then we come back to Keen Ice, who's wide at the turn, and Defundo held up in last. The half-mile for Stanford. It's been smooth sailing out in front. 48 and 2/5 seconds, 3 furlongs to go, and Stanford to reel in. Stanford continues to hold on to this lead. St. Joe Bay and Mr. Z. War Story is the wideout in gaining ground. International Star comes up the inside just in back of the front. International Star now pulls out. They're at the top of the fairground stretch. 3/4, 1 minute 13 and 1/5 seconds. They come down toward the last. It is International Star and Stanford, and these two set for a final 16th clash. War Story is third. International Star again triumphed in the end. International Star over Stanford in the Louisiana Derby. War Story was third, and Keen Ice finished fourth. He swept our 3-year-old series. International Star, Miguel Mena for the Ramseys, and Mike Maker, 9 furlongs today in New Orleans in 1 minute 50 and 3/5 seconds. To Kentucky he goes. They come down toward the last. It is International Star and Stanford, and these two set for a final 16th clash. War Story is third. International Star again triumphed in the end. International Star over Stanford in the Louisiana Derby. War Story was third, and Keen Ice finished fourth. He swept our 3-year-old series. International Star, Miguel Mena for the Ramseys, and Mike Maker, 9 furlongs today in New Orleans in 1 minute 50 and 3/5 seconds. To Kentucky he goes.